Hi there, this is Cheryl. Welcome back to my channel, and this is Sketchbook Tour number 2. And in this sketchbook tour, I'm going to tour the sketchbook that I started in early December. It's now almost New Year's, and I call it, it's sort of a daily-ish sketchbook, and I would spent a lot of time in this book and got a lot of enjoyment out of it. And I'm going to walk through about 5 different things that I think I learned and hopefully share those with you so that maybe when you work on a sketchbook, you can use some of these ideas about working in a sketchbook. So I'm just going to tour. The first couple of pages are blank. These are the Artex. I swatched some Artex markers on this first page. So the first page I had some paper and a glue stick and some markers again, and I just began to fill in the page. And what I like about it is just this kind of spontaneous gluing down of paper and just work with whatever comes and see what you have. And I kind of liked that. And I didn't intentionally, I think I left the other pages, facing pages blank because I hadn't kind of formulated an idea of how I was going to handle one side or the other. I generally right-handed, so I kind of tend to start on this side, the right side. So this, then I started working with some gouache, indigo gouache, and I also have some indigo gouache in a dry palette. And I had just some water pens. So I started using that material. So just to grab and go, nothing fancy, whatever's around, just using the materials that I had. Just begin by creating a shape and then finding ways to make everything connect. And I think this was very meditative. These ideas of just drawing and seeing what comes, no preconceived idea. It's like kind of like slow art. Sometimes things would emerge, a hand, an eye, lines and shapes. So it's just kind of like a highway of my mind, almost like a map. So those were really fun. And I found them to be just working this way, and these big pages felt really relaxing. And then I do have to say something about the color blue. I was very engaged by the coolness of it. In fact, I felt, it was very relaxing. So then I also had some black gouache, and I used some black gouache. And these are Sharpie markers. Back to the blue. So I think the first thing I would say would be trusting and listening. Just grab your materials, whatever's there. Trust that you'll turn the blank page and you'll be able to do something. Make a mark. And then it's just kind of kindness in letting yourself approach it that way. So I think what happens is you take on a kind of an energy by doing that. The sketchbook takes on its own sort of energy and life force. This is, again, that black gouache and a little bit of Neocolor 2 over it. I have some Neocolor 2. And the white is Neocolor 2. These are Neocolor 2s, black and white gouache. So I'm starting to see what I love. What do I love? I love patterns. I love almost quilt-like shapes. And I really liked just filling the page as I went, filling each page. This one was gouache, just watery gouache and dropping gouache into water. Markers and indigo gouache, more of the gouache and ink. And then I love this, I think I talked about this last video, was this distress ink. Sometimes I would just make these marks with the distress ink on the page. Kind of gives it a little bit of texture. more collage and painting sort of the negative shapes that were around it. So the second thing I think I learned was, you know, I talked about the kindness you give yourself when you work this way, but also just following the energy of the process. And it's kind of contagious, that energy of like, oh, if I did that page, then I can do another page and another page and another page. So this one was more gouache from my palette, my dry palette. I had a dry palette and those brushes, and I just played with color. More of the same. And then patterns. I love patterns because I do make some seamless patterns, and I tend to like the idea of repetition. More drawing. I also have one of those, a Pentel brush pen. So these are these brush pen ink, Sharpie markers, same materials, just drawing whatever's there in front of me. I had a cup of tea, I started there. Whatever comes to mind is just follow that energy of what comes to mind, and drop into the colors and the textures of each page, and even the sound of the pages, and just let it be playful and knowing that something always comes. It's another page. These are the markers, the Sharpie markers. No, this is Artex markers. Artex markers. I tried out some creative color. I got the mega big color swatching of some color pencils. And then just letters. Sometimes words appear, faces. And I had an idea when I was working through this. I thought, you know, some of this black and white, I could take them and make copies of the pages. And I think in the next sketchbook, I might use the Xerox copies as collage for the next sketchbook. I could definitely see this as collage paper. This is collage paper, and this is collage paper, but it came from, you know, a sketchbook. Sort of asymmetric writing that looks like writing, but you can't really read it. And just filling in the pages. But I also think sometimes the pages that are like this, I could always go back in and rework some of these. I don't know that I will, but I think it feels pretty good to be able to start a page. No rules. It's just like, okay, I liked it where it was. It's not finished. It's not great, but it's just a process. So trusting and listening, following the energy, and then meeting difficulties. Like, I think I get to a couple of pages where I liked this gouache, but then it got a little fiddly here, but it was okay. It's just okay. It wasn't, I think I was using too much water, and I just let it be what it is. I mean, these aren't going to be for anything other than for me. And I enjoy the color when I turn the page and looking at all the different patterns. It's exciting. Here's another spread where I used just the Sharpie markers and just filled in. And I really like the strength of the dark, you know, the depth of the blacks and the bright colors. So again, I'm interested in patterns and almost quilt-like shapes. So this one, I think the spread, I think I put down the squares, the shapes, and began to fill them in. And that is, you know, the fourth thing is being sort of open. Be open to your imagination and just let it be because it could take you from one place to another place that's radically different. This almost looks like wallpaper or some sort of fabric design. So the back and forth of your imagination can be really exciting and teach you, and very rewarding. I think it can kind of teach you a lot about the power of imagination. Here's another one. This is gouache, colored pencils, and ink. Luminance colored pencils, ink, gouache. So this is all gouache, the gouache and ink. And this, I think, would make a lovely collage paper. I'm going to maybe copy it. I think some of these things I can definitely take to Staples and just make big copy paper, copy them and then use them in the next sketchbook. There's another one. Here's another one dealing with difficulties. I think I wasn't happy with what was going on under here, this shape, and I thought, well, just cover it up. And I use some just some white gouache with something. I just stamped white on top of it for a pattern. Again, here's another page. It feels like I could go into this more, but I left it because I liked it just the way that it was. There's another one with, I like sort of the idea of something that's one way and then something that's just floral. It's almost like if this was going to be fabric, this could be fabric, a little supportive patterns. And then I really like the idea of lines and drawing concentric lines and circles, and filling a page that way can be really rewarding. And it's meditative, it's quiet. And again, it's letting your imagination flow. And the other thing I think I realized was noticing what you like in your work and what you don't like. But I think focusing on what you like gives you more generative energy, that you can say, well, I liked the pattern, so in some way following what you like. I think if you get stuck on what I don't like, I tend to get stuck. But if I follow what I do like, I feel like I want more of that. And it gets more and more, well, if I can do that, then I can do something else. So this is another pattern and a floral. So I think it started out here as like, oh, I like this sweeping floral. And then what else? What if? Ask what if. I think that's, what if I did this? What if there's something else and something else and something else? And something always comes. This is the spread that I filmed it, and I'm going to stick it on at the end so you can see how it evolved. Love flowers. Letting myself enjoy what I love. Simple materials, and just limiting it to this brush pen and just filling in. So sort of making the shapes and then making more and more shapes. Back to the markers and kind of an explosion of color play, and then black and white and patterns. And that's the last page. So I guess overall I would say to think about, this art making, really it's like a lifelong journey. It's full of the idea of, you know, using a sketchbook for just lots of exploration and discovery and surprises. Some pages will work, some pages won't, and that's okay. It's really okay. I'm going to attach a little process video at the end, and I hope that you keep going, keep making, and keep enjoying the process of your sketchbook. And I'll see you in the next video.